The conviction Tuesday of Libyan militia leader Ahmed Abu Khattala on terrorism charges but not murder in the 2012 Benghazi attacks would not weaken efforts to try a second defendant in Washington or the potential prosecution of future suspects, current and former FBI and Justice Department officials said. Carlos T. Fernandez, a former senior FBI counterterrorism official whose New York City-based agents investigated the attacks in which 4 Americans were killed, said the potentially lengthy prison sentence facing Abu Khattala, the only person prosecuted to date in the attacks, marked a victory for investigators and prosecutors. Tremendous creative work was done by the FBI and prosecutors with the U.S. Attorney's Office of the District to get these charges, in an environment where no one was willing to take any risk, Fernandez said. This certainly isn't going to stop any of their efforts. I feel confident they will continue pursuing each and every lead for as long as they possibly can, he said, adding that investigators and prosecutors are limited only by the ability of their leaders in terms of getting the job done. At least 8 of Abu Khattala's militia members were caught on U.S. surveillance video at the 2 attack scenes, a U.S. diplomatic compound and a nearby CIA annex, according to evidence shown at the trial in Washington. Abu Khattala himself identified 36 individuals to FBI interrogators, the court heard in testimony. At the time that U.S. commandos captured him in Libya in 2014, U.S. officials said more than a dozen others had been charged in a sealed complaint. Accused Benghazi ringleader convicted on terrorism charges in 2012 attacks that killed U.S. Ambassador Fernandez's comments came as Acting Assistant Attorney General Dana Boente said after Tuesday's verdict in Washington that the Justice Department will not rest in its pursuit of others involved in the attacks that took place overnight September 11 to September 12, 2012. Scores of militants overran and set fire to the U.S. diplomatic mission and fired mortars at the nearby CIA facility, killing U.S. Ambassador J. Christopher Stevens and fellow Americans Sean Smith, Tyrone S. Woods and Glenn Doherty. The White House set a tone similar to Boente's when it approved federal prosecution of a second Libyan suspect, Mustafa al-Imam, whose capture President Trump announced October 29 had been carried out on my orders. The president added, "Our memory is deep and our reach is long, and we will not rest in our efforts to find and bring the perpetrators of the heinous attacks in Benghazi to justice." Imam has pleaded not guilty. The Trump administration's high-level endorsement of a second civilian trial and the hunt for suspects comes amid a seeming shift in Congress since the 2010 federal trial of Ahmed Khalfan Gailani. The former Guantanamo Bay detainee was acquitted of all but one count of conspiracy in the deaths of hundreds of people in the 1998 bombings of 2 U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. Gailani was imprisoned for life, but senior Republican lawmakers called for the abandonment of civilian trials for foreign terrorism suspects.